than 200 million doses per month by April of this year. Not to be outdone, Merck says it's discussing ways to produce other firms' vaccines after dropping plans to develop their own. Teva Pharmaceuticals says it could co-produce vaccines too. All good news. Let's turn now to vaccine rollouts. Delays and supply shortages have hit nations worldwide, but one nation, Serbia, is well and truly racing ahead. It now has the highest vaccination rate in Europe after the UK, and citizens can even choose between 3 different vaccines. And I'm pleased to say, joining us now, Ana Brnabić. She's the Prime Minister of Serbia. Prime Minister, fantastic to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's great to be with you, at least online.
Absolutely. Congratulations, as I mentioned, on your vaccine rollout. Just begin by explaining the moment you decided not to wait around, to wait for help, simply to go it alone and talk to not only the US vaccine makers, but also China and Russia too.
Well, I have to say that very, very early on, we have in Serbia made the decision to treat, obviously, the vaccine procurement as a key priority for our country. And it was an effort actually led by the President of the Republic of Serbia, Aleksandar Vučić, with the support from myself as the Prime Minister and the entire government, actually. And we decided to go directly into negotiations with different producers, not treating this as a geopolitical issue, but treating it as what it is, and that's a healthcare issue. And try to get the vaccines as soon as possible to Serbia, which is why we were actually one of the first countries in the world to sign contract with Pfizer. And we were the second country in Europe to get Pfizer vaccines delivered already in mid-December after the UK. But we were also one of the first countries to sign a contract with Chinese Sinopharm, and the first country to actually receive Sinopharm vaccines and start a mass immunization campaign. So we decided to treat it completely as a key priority for our country and our citizens. And the second part of that success story, I think, is digitization. We've placed digitization of all of our public services as kind of key priority in the government's work about 4 years ago, which helped us very quickly have a very, I would say, clever information system based on the artificial intelligence, which makes the whole process very easy for citizens, very transparent, and for us, easy to manage.
I mean, there's so much in there, and I'll come back to your second point, which I agree is a critical factor here, and we've seen that around the world, which is digitization and making this simple and providing access. But I want to get back to the first point that you made, and you said we chose to see this not as a geopolitical issue, but as a health issue. And I just want to explore that a little bit. There will be people that look at this for a couple of reasons and say this is a geopolitical issue when you're talking about perhaps getting favors, doing deals with nations like Russia or China, particularly as an EU accession country. How do you see that? How do you view that?
Well, again, I don't want to even participate in those conversations. I really believe that vaccination is a number-1 issue for people around the globe right now, and it's an issue of saving lives. It has nothing to do with politics or geopolitics. Again, I mean, as an EU accession country, our strategic focus is to become the EU member. I would say that, you know, we participated in all of the EU efforts to get the vaccine and develop the vaccine. So as a small country, we have donated 2.1 million euros through European Commission for the development of the vaccine for the benefit of all of us. We are also part of the World Health Organization COVAX mechanism. But we thought that it would be prudent that we start negotiations with all other producers. And as I said, you know, we are the first country to get the first vaccines to arrive to Serbia were Pfizer vaccines. But you know, in our view, Sinopharm vaccines, Chinese vaccines, and Sputnik Russian vaccines are, they're safe, they're effective, and that is the only thing that matters to us. And by the end of this month, we are going to have to get the first batch of AstraZeneca vaccines as well. So we are doing whatever we can to make sure that our people are immunized as soon as possible, and that we are safe, and that the economy and the life goes back to normal as soon as possible.
As we all do.
So
just on your point, though, about the EU, are you relieved in some way, and it's a strange choice of words, but relieved that actually you weren't already in the EU? Because it is fascinating that both you and the UK actually are managing to do this far quickly, simply because you negotiated alone rather than collectively, as the EU did, and have obviously struggled.
I can't really say that. I mean, there are many benefits that EU member countries have that we unfortunately do not have, including the budget support, the financial support for the recovery after COVID-19. So at this particular point in time, I just think that everyone needed to have a little bit of a different approach, and not just the EU. I think worldwide. I think what was supposed to happen is that that multilateralism was supposed to kick in. Everyone say what their priority needs are. We all sit down and see where are the production facilities and what do we all need to do in order to support the production and increase the capacities of those productions. So, again, I think at the end of the day, the EU will do good, and perhaps it was a late start, but I'm sure that it will come out stronger.
What's quite fascinating, and you mentioned it, the platform that you've produced allows people to choose which vaccine they're getting. You also said, look, they're safe. All of them are safe in our view. People can effectively get what they choose. And I know different members of your government took the different vaccines to make that point. What are you seeing from the Serbian people? Are they specifically going for one vaccine or another, or are they simply just grateful to get a vaccine as soon as possible?
The greatest majority of people is basically saying vaccines, whatever vaccine we have, and obviously all of them need to be safe, and that we are following very closely the registration process of those vaccines in their home countries, but also throughout the world, including the World Health Organization or EU. Our own local agency was registered Pfizer a day after FDA registered in the US, or a couple of days before, I think, EU registered Pfizer. So we are closely following the, we are trying to be, very safe, have kind of almost double or triple standard. So we are waiting for someone to go ahead and register the vaccine first. Then we also, in parallel, look at the paperwork and the samples, and we register it ourselves. So our citizens know that it's safe, and predominantly they're applying to get any of the vaccine that is currently available. Chinese Sinopharm vaccine right now is also very popular, but that's also due to the fact that we have the most of the Chinese vaccines. We last night I was waiting for a plane with 500,000 Chinese vaccines. But it depends. I mean, Sputnik, Pfizer, different people select different options. And as I said, soon enough we'll have AstraZeneca as well. So it's what's important is that they get vaccinated and not which vaccine they use.
Yeah, and you've moved incredibly swiftly. I was just looking at your current situation with COVID, and I just wanted to get your sense very quickly, because I looked down your restrictions and they're a lot less restrictive, actually, than many other nations, and yet you've managed to keep your COVID cases on a relative basis per proportion of the population pretty much the same as the EU and the United States. How are you achieving that?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I mean, we are trying very hard to carefully balance between the economy, but also the psychology of the people, of the citizens that had enough of the restrictions, but also balance it with the health measures, and so thus far we are succeeding. I think people are quite disciplined. I think also the employers and the restaurants, coffee shops, and cafes and bars are trying very hard to do their bit, because they appreciate the fact that they can work. They have perhaps more restrictive hours of working, but they still work. So they're helping us with those measures, and I think that's providing results. But again, from the very, very early on, I mean, firstly, we had some of the most restrictive measures in the world.
And November was clearly a torrid time, and we saw that on the chart too.
And from then on, we are really just trying very, very hard to balance work and life with the health measures, and discussing this not on a daily basis, but on an hourly basis, I would say.
Prime Minister, I have to stop you there because I have to take a break, but I can't tell you how refreshing it is to hear a Prime Minister say, I don't know, and we're taking it day by day, and we're just going to work on it. Prime Minister, fantastic to chat to you. Thank you so much. Come back and talk to us soon, and congratulations again, the Prime Minister of Serbia there. Very much. Thank you.
Connecting Africa in association with Afrexim Bank.